So, in this next piece, with oversensitive ex-celebs and invisible insects are just in a day's work for Bertie in Out of Control by Francine Ross, acted by Omer Warman.
Take one. Hello, I'm Bertie, your local family-friendly pest controller, here to exterminate your pests. Big or small, large or tall, just give me a call. Is that okay, do you think, Tom? No? Take two. Hi, I'm Bertie, your local expert pest controller. I am Bert with pests. I'm expert, you are welcome to give me a test. My prices are lowly, they go fast, not slowly. I'm Bertie, the expert with the test. Any better, you think? No? Well, just call me expert. That just makes me sound like it don't exist. Well, business is a bit, shall we say, slack. During the cost of living crisis, people are saving the dosh and taking care of their own pests, so I thought I'd get some more in by advertising. Take yesterday. I pulled out to some place in the middle of Essex, just outside of Basildon, in the middle of somewhere. Talk about the only way is Essex. It took me 3 hours on the sat-nav just to find it. I knocked on the front door, and you never guess who answered it. Victoria Beck! She was in my class at Bish Bash Cross Street Primary back in the day. We used to call her Posh Wife because her parents had some with pets. But she claimed that they were a rare breed from Japan, even though she was terrified of them. She looks me up and down and says, "Tradesmen, go around the back entrance." I says, "You've come up in the world." And I said, "I'm here to exterminate your pests." And then she looks at me as though I was one. But then I remembered she used to show her knickers in exchange for a gulp stopper before she made it famous as a boxer. And I refused to be intimidated. Anyway, she shows me around this enormous house, so posh that even the downstairs loo, which I had to use because of too many cups of tea this morning, was gold plated with a chandelier. There was an award for best one-hit wonder of 1986 sitting on the shelf gathering dust. We spent half an hour going through various rooms that were all covered in marble and gold plating wherever it could be put. I mean, I've never seen a sink plunger made of marble before. You live and learn. So, finally, she shows me to a bedroom and points to her bed and says, "There, the cat brought it in." I says, "I thought you had an infestation." She says, "What if it breeds?" Anyway, whilst I'm there, poke around the bed, under the bed, nothing. And then all of a sudden, I see a little movement underneath the silk sheets. So I grab my knees and I crawl under the bed to get it. Then Posh sits on the edge of the bed looking relieved until the mouse escapes. And then she lets out this piercing squeal and then another, louder and louder until the mouse ends up back on the bed on her lap. So I then throw myself on top of her purely to get the mouse. But the mouse just keeps on escaping because of Posh's noise. I mean, for pest control to work, you need a calm environment. So my expertise was being challenged. One last desperate attempt. I clasp myself on top of her really tight, and then the mouse goes underneath both of us. So she squeals even more, wraps her legs around me, with their riding for 7 more seconds until the door opens. And it's Posh's ex-footballer husband, David Smith. He used to play for Manchester United, got famous for promoting a certain jewellers, and then got affectionately nicknamed Goldsmith Bags. "What is the meaning of all this?" he yells. He's unable to process my explanation that I'm only the pest controller, He picks me up, kicks me literally, and picks up the mouse and puts it out the window. Unfortunately, I wasn't paid for that job. My next job is in Tottenham, in a carpet shop with moths. And as moths come out at night, I arrive late. I knock on the front door. And when I say front door, I've never seen one with so many leather flaps and bolts before. And there's a man in a tracksuit with different colour flaps all sticking out at all angles coming out of his head. He opens the door and says, "Have you got the gear?" And then I says, "I've come for the moths." And then he starts chewing gum like his life depends on it. And then he ushers me in and shows me upstairs to an attic. And I says, "Is this where it is?" Right, I get the old gear and it'll all be gone in a jiff. And he looks at me, he says, "We want the new stuff, we thought you was getting rid." And then he looks at me suspiciously and says, "What's the code name?" I am completely bamboozled. And I say, 30. He relaxed and smiles and said, "That's cool then, the moth is over here." And then I look, and I cannot see any brown flapping insects to save my life. I thought, anyway, I get my 6-foot telescopic moth catcher with an enormous net, start waving it around, and I shout, "You're dead!" All of a sudden, he's petrified, he puts up his hands and says, "I'm not the one you should be catching, bro. It should be..." Next thing I hear sirens, and the police are in the room, and before I can say moth's dead, Mr. Tracksuit is on the floor, wrapped in handcuffs, and I say, "Look, I'm only here to deal with the moths." And then the police officer immediately puts me in handcuffs and says to his mate, "Did you hear that? Time for a promotion, confession to the rookie." And I said, "You're arresting an innocent man, Colombo." Eh? Of course, he's about 35 years too young to get the reference. I didn't get paid for that job either. I'm down at the police station, and it's my turn to get interviewed. And I spend 4 hours trying to explain that I'm there to deal with real moths that just happens to be in a drug den where there are moths, which is a Class A drug, which is being distributed in various mean streets such as Tottenham. And it just happens to be a coincidence. Once they caught, I'll tell them the truth, they let me go. But just as I'm leaving, I hear that telltale scurrying sound, and the 6-foot police officer screams, jumps on the desk, cowering in fear. And I says to him, "I can deal with that, but it's payment up front." "Is that better?" "No!" "Take 3.